Looks like it's getting stream info, waiting for it to come on.
And up another. Oh. So I can interact with the chat without messing up the stream. And do you need to do any screen shares, you think, today?
No.
Okay.
All right, looks like YouTube is up and running, so we are live and on the air. Welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is finally Friday, and we are here mainly to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. Of course, if you do have any of those or would like to talk to us directly, you can always jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat from there, and we'll be more than happy to talk with you and answer any questions you may have about our products and services, and always feel free to interrupt whatever else we're talking about to do that. So we have Phoenix already posted some links in there. Looks like we got Beavis and Futures Tech Eric and Chook and Undertaker in there as well. So welcome everyone. How's everyone else doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a rather productive day in testing and development work. We caught a couple of problems, and I think we have a new release of the beta to announce, CPv8 beta.
Yep,
so that's
version 0.16 should be live and available, and yeah, check it out, see if you have any issues. Basically what was fixed with this one was we noticed we had previously fixed an issue where if the folder watch was watching the downloads folder, it would prevent files from being downloaded, because all the web browsers apparently feel like they should put a temporary file in there to resume downloads, although that's not where temporary files go. So anyway, we fixed that issue, and it shouldn't affect any kind of temporary download stuff, so you should be good on those. Otherwise, Phoenix had mentioned at the first part of the chat here before we came on the air, and I think far before we got it onto the stream, that he was noticing some performance issues when first starting CryptoPrevent's main interface. And he said around the 60% mark or so, it kind of hangs, and he saw his CPU spike majorly. I said that's actually expected. Around that point was where it was checking for updates, and essentially if it didn't find any updates, it restarts all the services and makes sure everything's running and appropriate as it should be. So that is to be expected, and essentially what the folder watch has, yeah, when you first start CryptoPrevent's main interface, it makes sure the services are.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
All right, so if we can make improvements, we're open to suggestions, and if we can make improvements to that process.
Wait, I don't see why. There's no process. I don't see what's wrong with that.
Well, why would you need to restart everything on startup if it's starting up?
It's not restarting everything. It's restarting the services, and it only restarts them if it doesn't find them there, or if it finds them there, it restarts them. So that's the only way I could figure to make sure that the services are running, so that if you open up CryptoPrevent, it verifies the services are running and everything.
Let's talk later.
Okay.
That's all proprietary. Yeah.
But that's part of the update stuff too. So I did change where it updates, so it'd be after it does the verifying system. What? Your internet's kind of.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, not like you can do. Not like you can do about updates, but
yeah.
Delayed auto start wouldn't be a bad thing for one, beyond what I want to talk about later. But
we don't want those to delay start either.
Just the update part. You'd separated an update stub recently, didn't you?
I haven't separated it yet, no.
Oh, okay. When you separate it, we'll delay the update with auto start. But I'm sorry, that was just the only thing I could say on the air for way.
Okay, we'll talk about it more. Otherwise, yeah, Eric, go ahead and ask if you have another question there, or if that's the same question that you asked earlier. First, let me finish by saying that when the services start, no matter when it happens, the folder watch is going to consume all of your CPU because it's trying to do stuff and make sure things are set up and ready for it to perform its actions how it wants to. So that performance hit's going to be there. It's just we want that to actually have.
It's not a threading issue. It's not a threading issue, Beavis. Okay, so he's already threading it. It's being reported that it's consuming more CPU time. So, you know, it's a CPU usage issue. It's not an issue of it not using the CPU fully or being a responsiveness issue. I mean, the interface is irrespective of the progress bar, right?
What?
The interface is irrespective of that progress bar once that update check is occurring, right? Can you still not interact with the interface when that progress bar is happening?
There's nothing to
Eric, the license does not stay in the registry. It gets removed, does it not?
Unless you say to leave it there.
Yeah. It's one of those leave it. Yeah, it's one of those exit, uninstall choices rather. But of course, updating, of course, it will. And now if you're using a bulk installer, Eric, it will put a license key in your in the user. I think all users My Documents folder during the uninstall, during the install actually.
What he's asking though, if he's using a bulk installer, then yes, it will use the same license. It won't pick up a new one.
Well, but if it uninstalls first, does it not remove that information entirely?
It doesn't matter. When the bulk install checks, it'll check and see that system's already been registered, and it won't consume another license.
Good point. Okay, yes, good point.
Yeah, so it won't consume a new license if you're installing it on the same system with the same
hardware.
If you change hardware, that might be a different case, and you can contact us and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
But otherwise, I like Beavis's way. We could also blame that performance issue on cosmic radiation. So
I would.
Yeah. Especially Phoenix's system. Phoenix, you got way too much cosmic radiation. Obviously, you didn't read the system requirements about a nuclear bunker. Just kidding. You don't have to have that. And just joking, Phoenix. But anyway, cool. Yeah, Eric, that should go good. What was his first question that we talked about earlier? Oh, he wanted to know, he had an old version on there and wanted to install the new version. And he wanted to know if you could install over top of it. And while you could, it's not recommended. And in general, with most software, I would always recommend you uninstall old versions and then reinstall the new version. The main reason we say that with CryptoPrevent is if you have service running, it might have issues upgrading the service portion, and you would have weird things happen from that, and it might not fix till the next auto update or something like that. So yeah, it's always generally recommended that you fully uninstall and then reinstall. You can get away with it, and you're more than welcome to try, but if you don't want to have any issues, the best way is to go uninstall and reinstall.
Well, he's saying that because on when we don't take uninstall lightly, so we remove things that weren't there before. Like a lot of apps don't even, by the way, but then techs know that because they use like things like Revo and whatnot. But still, I wouldn't. I used to dish out that advice until being a software developer. And as a tech, it made sense because, well, you see it a lot. But, you kind of just need to have a feel for what you're doing, not what you're doing, but what the software is doing, rather, with a little experience. Because, like in our case, I would recommend uninstalling 7 before throwing the 8 beta on, but I would not recommend uninstalling just to upgrade 7 to 7 kind of thing.
Well, you would still have the possible issue with the service. Install over top of it.
Where, when?
Because if you install over top of it and the service is running,
Installing, no, but you're talking about performing an install over top. That's a completely different ballgame. Don't do that.
yeah.
That's not recommended.
And that is a good question.
That's how you fix really weird version, like really weird issues in Windows XP. That is not how you treat software.
Well, that brings up another good question: is why are you having to install version 7 versus just upgrading your 7.3?
I didn't want to ask.
Because you can just upgrade directly in there.
But no, install over top is not something you want to do with all software, especially Crypto Prevent in this case.
Yeah.
Michael Beavis is just showing off. That's what he does.
They are, yeah, I'm not even going to get into the details of how that works. Essentially, the issue is that Folder Watch basically requires a lot of CPU usage, so it's taking over your computer to make sure it can do what it wants to do. That's fine. All right, well, those were some good, interesting talks and discussions there. Let's jump into some of these links that. Okay, so Beavis has had
our link bringer Phoenix has brought us.
Yeah, Futures Tech said he had some issues with the auto update schedule and updates getting stuck.
Pun or fun? I refuse to just. Oh, come on, really, Glenn? Fun? Is that fun?
Okay. So Phoenix has a few links here.
It's Friday. Just to point that out.
Thank you for those who did not listen to the opening where we said it was Friday.
I didn't. I
know, that's why I said it that way.
I had to go to the bathroom.
So Phoenix does have quite a few links here, so let's jump into those. Looks like, and I had seen this as well, but apparently the NSA hacking tools that were leaked were because an agent left them on a remote server, so not following protocol apparently gets you in trouble. This is interesting. Critical denial of service flaw found in OpenSSL, and that attack explains how it works there. So I'll have to look more into that. And I guess, Michael, you're finally reason to have it not on your PF or your OPN since not on OpenSSL.
Yeah, I mean, LibreSSL is a in my opinion a safer alternative, and it has been highlighted that there have been numerous ones where it's been vulnerable, and Libre whatever you want to call it, they haven't. So and I do like the open source community review, nature of them, and lately all the previously open projects have been shifting to that.
Is OpenSSL not a
OpenOffice,
community?
OpenSSL. I don't know what the circumstances. I think there's politics though involved in it. But the OpenSSL went to or LibreSSL. The OpenELEC went to LibreELEC. It seems to OpenOffice, LibreOffice. It seems to. Yeah, I don't know. So I've generally been going that way, but who knows? Maybe a decade from now it'll be the other direction. Maybe everything will be back to open. I don't know.
Nick, what were you going to say about? Were you going to ask what OPN sense was?
No.
Oh.
I was just.
Okay.
But I would add, so I don't have to continue typing it as long as you just called my attention to attention. Eric, the not rebooting when the Crypto Prevent, it does the GP update, updates the group policies. that is something that if you read about the TechNet articles and such, and I don't have them in front of me, links, but it's like it kind of does stuff and it may or may not, and like in our experience, like it usually on XP, it's fine without a reboot, like 99 times out of 100, but it's more like 30, maybe 25 times out of 100, it's fine on Vista and above. And there's just some, and like you can read like the way it does the machine policy and then the user policy separately,
I have never had
but
a good luck at confirming it after
it
an application.
like it's never right until you reboot, and that's why we always force the reboot prompt no matter what. We display that, but yeah, you should always do that, I'm afraid.
I've also I've seen that it can take up to 5 to 30 minutes at times. Like in my various testings of things, I've like applied protections and tested, and it was like, nope, not blocked, and then came back 5 minutes later and tested, and it did show it, but it varies vastly. So a reboot kind of enforces.
It does. It enforces that refresh that needs to be done. The other, and and it may even be like part of the issue may even be that there's not a domain controller there because we're talking about home systems or pro systems that aren't joined to a domain. That's something I've considered in the past, but maybe if there was a domain server there, it would act better. Not really did a ton of testing on that, but the versions that you had, you said there was an issue with it freezing, and that's pretty much what Brantley was talking about. I was like, what? But come to think of it, we have had issues like, oh yeah, it was on domain. Well, never mind. But we have had issues with the update, getting stuck trying to shut down the event monitoring service in version 7, I believe, at times. But it's never been a frequent thing. It's always like here and there, every once in a while, it's brought up, but can't really comment on the specifics of that at the moment. I'm so buried into version 8, the filter module right now. In fact, based on D7X code, in fact, also that I can't wrap my brain around what was going on. But I know that was sort of an issue at times, but
it really hasn't been brought up that much because I didn't know a thing even. So
it was a thing like a long time ago, but I did, it was like one of those, like, I think it was one of those things that was fixed with, I don't know, maybe 7.4. It was, and if you're coming from 7.3, or I don't know what you were doing before, but there have been cases of that in the past. I do remember, though I don't handle. Maybe Michael or Tank could comment better. Is Johnny in here?
Yeah, should be at least.
Maybe they could comment better on it, and doing a lot the service tickets now. But
okay. Well, and so you just wanted the current version on hand to be ready for it. So cool.
Right.
You're gonna have to do it soon again, though, because we are getting pretty close to release on 8.
Yeah, you're really cutting it close. I mean, can I go ahead and? I probably shouldn't. Never mind.
Let's wait. So some other links that Phoenix posted here is apparently Apple weakened its backup encryption on iOS 10. Can be cracked 2,500 times faster. So I guess they gave in to the government a little bit there. Then apparently, so I'm guessing this hackers hit the White House staffer's Gmail account raises security concerns link that he posted. I'm guessing that relates to the person that the way they got the Obama wife passport thing, maybe, but who knows. Oh, and Mexican police are going after a kick-ass torrents clone and they seized the domain. So that's good. Interesting. I had read this article as well on GHacks about the Resilio sync. So BT Sync, basically BitTorrent handed over the project to Resilio, and they've rebranded and renamed it and taken it over. I did notice that they're offering a lifetime pro license for $39, so might have to check into that again. I didn't like the way BT Sync was doing their pro and payment style stuff, so we'll have to look into it, because
Yes or no? Does the data still go through their server before it goes to your friends?
Did
well, it
you?
only does that if it doesn't have access to go out by itself. So if
Yeah, see, but you can't. Can you not disable that?
well, you can by setting up your network so that both of you have this access that's required, which I believe means opening a port on each place.
But if you're not there, like if your machine is not online or whatnot, is the data going to go? Is it going to attempt to go?
The data, it doesn't go anywhere.
Man, yeah, it does. Okay, because I thought BT Sync, it went through.
The issue with BT Sync is, so it's a peer-to-peer connection. It tries to do that first, and if it can't connect directly, which would require open ports, then it uses a proxy server that BitTorrent, or I guess Resilio now, owns, and then it transfers data that way, and they're able to see data there theoretically. But if you both have ports open, it should try to connect peer-to-peer, and that's it. So no backup ports. So
yeah, that's a lot of should and if and things for just
only because I don't know if it does that, because I've never
willy-nilly throwing data in a folder.
All right, guys. Though you have to, we're talking a lot about the hacking. Did you guys mention this article?
SyncThing, huh?
In the register. And it's a little bit disturbing, but apparently it's less expensive for a company to deal with a hack than it is for them to actually tighten their IT infrastructure and their security, their network security. It's more expensive to do that.
Very much true. It goes back to that old saying, it's easier to apologize than ask permission.
Very good analogy.
What do you know about SyncThing, Brantley? Phoenix was talking about.
I haven't looked into it. And
he said that you can set up your own relay, and that's that's like where we would want to be, rather.
Yeah. You could, but then are you sure that it's going through that instead?
I think it's depressing too, Eric, but it should never be promoted to do so, and that that issue should not be advertised. But I do imagine that this is why we see sort of non-stop reports of hacks these days. It's not that these places don't know what to do. I think they're just actively choosing to ignore it now, whether or not that's appropriate or not. But certainly their performance figures are largely driven by the bottom line and dollars. So yeah, it's unlikely that any moral or ethical standard would trump that.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to look more into see what SyncThing actually does and what would require it. But any of those, I still feel like you'd want to be careful about what you're putting on there anyway. Yeah, and that, Beavis, is where I'm thinking that it's easier to apologize than ask permission, because exactly that point. People rape businesses on prices for things, and especially if it's a government or school or something government funded, they just insanely increase the prices for essentially the same product, which is ridiculous, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all that stuff that goes.
Yeah, don't get me started on insurance, even.
Did you guys see that thing or talk about it already? If I missed it, about the TV pricing and what people on average were paying 5 years ago versus today for TV prices?
Yeah, the TV prices have gone up because you want all the extra digital channels and everything. They didn't
Yeah.
mention that in that article, but
Yeah, well, that's what I
ultimately,
wanted your take on it, and that's why I wanted to talk to you because again, the companies offer more services and they offer,
that's why the prices have gone up. That's what they're not taking into account, I didn't feel, in that article.
yeah, but that's a huge oversight for an article like that. How
That's not
is
that huge. It doesn't make the same, oh, click this, find out why, and be mad at
because
your
I
cable.
mean, there's home security services that they offer now.
No, it's
There's
not, you don't even
phones.
have to
There's
relate it to that, Michael. You can just relate it to the fact that they didn't have 300, 500 channels 5 years ago, or 10 years
well,
ago,
I don't think
whatever.
anybody actually watches all
We've
those
said
channels, so I don't think
But that's
that's
what they're subscribing to at extra price levels, is they're getting more additional channels. If you get your same basic cable, your price really isn't increased that much at
yeah, but
all.
I wonder how much the consumer, if that is the largest part of it, I wonder how much the consumer cares about that, and in which case, then it is a bigger story. Then,
And it's not like those people didn't know that their prices were going up because they signed up for those additional packages. So,
well,
um,
I know. I just want to think if I'm paying for the same thing, though, what would I? Have the prices gone up independently of me changing my services? And there may be some truth to that as well. You haven't changed your services much because you're maxed out of what they offer in your area. Your prices have stayed static for I
they're
guess.
not talking about any of those other services, though. They're talking about TV subscriptions, which I do not subscribe
You
to.
don't
And
have a
that's
TV. Yeah, that's right.
the other big thing that they're talking about, is the fact that uh, they're trying to link it to the fact that since majority of millennials don't subscribe to cable television, that they're saying that that's why the prices have increased, and that's not the case. The case is the fact that the TV services offer more products and more package levels, and people opt for those higher package levels. It's not like they've just been slowly increasing their rates year
All
after
right.
year.
Well, listen, because I mean, because
Listen,
people haven't become wealthy just magically overnight. I do believe that not everybody is able to just buy. I might have been fortunate enough to buy additional services. I mean, but over on the broad scheme of things, all across the country, I can't imagine
what I
everyone
did like in that
splurging.
article was the fact that like two of the high cable company executives were like, I got 3 or 5 kids, not one of them subscribes to cable TV.
Really, they said that in that article?
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
Huh.
really? Your own kids don't even subscribe to your service? A, and B, you're not giving your own kids your service? That's crazy.
Ah,
I have a for shame. I
That,
recently subscribed to cable television for local
oh
channels.
God.
I don't even have
again?
those in the area.
Oof, oof,
Didn't you
oof,
just
oof, oof, oof.
didn't you
I just
just
did that.
disconnect them? But didn't you just
No,
disconnect them
it was
too?
like that was years ago. That was like right after we moved in or something. I was like, and then I was like,
Yeah.
no, because they sell you that whole. They're like, oh, it's $10 more on top of your internet, and you get all of this. Okay, yeah, and then I eventually canceled that because I wanted my $10.
Yeah.
And I like the extra 30 in taxes and fees. But now I did just resubscribe for local channels. I don't really feel like getting on my roof for a good HD antenna to reach the quote unquote local channels in Virginia, yeah, up the way. So, and Jay's gonna want some price of right or something like that. So we're paying another $10 or $15 a month now on top of our cable. But am I gonna pay for anything premium? No. Am I gonna pay for the next tier? No. They had to send me to the because I did the online chat thing with Charter, and we're gonna have to send you to our customer retention team. I'm like, the thing, like the place that you go when you're trying to cancel your account and they offer you the insane deals? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to ask for the choice package. Okay. Cool. Transfer me. That's not a callback.
Hey, zombie worm. And we're not ignoring the conversation going in chat. Y'all are having a great conversation about that stuff. And I do agree with the fact that
Mm.
it's not just IT that happens with, where Eric said that some small business owners don't consider things to be a problem to be dealt with until it happens. That's probably a majority of small business owners, and it's not just IT, it's anything. Like,
Well, I see people complaining like, "Well, I wouldn't support a client if they're still running Server 2003." But the reality of it is, a lot of your SMBs are, and it's one of those things. They don't understand the cost benefit, and you get the right person, they will get it. But they also have to be, I guess, probably in a industry where it's actually worth it to them, where they don't care. Like Beavis said a while back, it is cheaper for a lot of them.
yeah.
Take the hit if they lose functionality or lose data or everything else. It is still cheaper for them. But that is really not the case on a lot of SMBs out there. But they're not being presented this understanding properly by those supporting them. I don't know how to help, and I don't know how to do it actually, because there's just stingy people out there. But it's you have the right salesman. That's why I like Michael. That's why he still works here.
Yeah.
The ice to Eskimos thing. No, I'm just kidding, Michael. I love you.
That
You'd be here anyway.
Well, it's
awesome.
like I understand that some of them still run older stuff, but I still would not like endorse or support that. Like, it's like,
So
I mean,
you're one of them.
yeah, if they're running Windows 98, you'd be fine with it. And
Well, you know what? Hey, you know what? I was actually my last job, and granted, my last job working for the man, for someone else anyway, was 2011 ish. Well, here, anyway, not in the other place, but well, no, it was my last job in IT here, not in the other place. It was we supported. It was 2011, I think, maybe something like that. Supported a company that had a DOS computer. Yes, they had DOS, and yes, we supported it. Guess why? Because I knew how. And you know what? It cost them a lot extra, but we still did
that's
it.
what I'm saying. Like, you're
But you know
basically
what? But
ripping
you
them
know
off
what?
the same
That's when you
way.
start blaming software developers, because it was actually a matter of there wasn't even really anything for them to invest in. There's a construction company that had concrete and other things they mix in the dump trucks and whatever, and this particular 486 controlled the mixing of all of these ingredients and elements and whatnots. There wasn't anything to replace it with. Actually, we ended up replacing the PC and got DOS to run on a VM and somehow communicate through the serial port. But it was, I mean, that was one of those things. You support that when people need it. If there's no option, there's no option. You do it, but you charge a lot for it. If it was Windows 7, I would have been like, standard hourly rate. But DOS, really? Are you serious? You know that's going to cost. It's like how the phone call starts. So why not? Why not support the older stuff if you know how to do it?
Well, for the DOS one, that's a different situation because that's not accessing the internet. Like, if they're running Windows 98 or even XP at this point, I would say that you're not, like, there's nothing to support if they're not getting on the internet. Usually, if they're getting on the internet, that's when I'd say, look, no, we're not doing this. It's going to end up costing you way too much down the road. It's going to end up costing you way too much right now, and you'd be far better off just upgrading to this. So that's where I'm coming from on those things, is that
Well,
my biggest thing is if it's connected to the internet, then it should not be supported without proper security and updated software and things.
Glenn says he has a thriving market selling old motherboards with parallel and serial ports to repair CNC and other industrial products. I remember the first CNC machine in this state, or the second one actually, was at our school. Proctor's not here to confirm that. Davis might. I was in that class. It was the closest thing to a computer class we had because there was a 46 driving it, with a CAD, with a DOS-based CAD program. But yeah, you got to support that stuff when you can. People have spent too much money on that in the first place. I totally understand why they don't want to spend money on new technology.
Yeah, and Eric, I worked in a medical industry thing, and I know exactly what you mean there. That stuff is
Yeah, you can talk about that. I know.
it's ridiculous. So this was an interesting article Phoenix had pointed out as well, and I got another link for it as well. But apparently, Brian Krebs' site got a record-breaking
Yeah, we need to talk
DDoS
about
attack.
this. We need to talk about this.
There's the /dot link to it, as well as
I like the Ars Technica article. It's better.
And okay, you can post that link if you want to as well. But essentially, and we're fond of Brian Krebs because he was one of the ones that reported on Crypto Prevent way back in the day. So
I started.
Yeah, you already posted
awesome,
it. Oh,
awesome security person. Oh yeah, Phoenix posted that one.
So basically, the thing is this, and I understand it. Akamai was providing him basically a free DDoS mitigation service, and but it turned out that they weren't stopping the attacks, and they had to take him offline because there was Akamai was.
They
There was
didn't
cost
just have to
Akamai.
take him offline; they kicked him off the network. He doesn't get that service anymore.
Yeah,
Are
because
you
of the
serious?
cost. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's understandable given that. But the article on ours points to the fact that his site has always been completely free, and there's free speech. There's no free speech on the internet with data metering and costs like you're saying, data cap costs and all these other things that you're so into. Those things all are basically against the freedom of speech. And if anybody, well, it's not to say, okay, for fun, you obviously you need to get your message out there, and it might cost something to get that out. I understand that, but any play there are, let's say you're going up against the big guys. Let's say you want to you got your new whatever that you're doing. It's gonna go up against, let's say, Walmart and the distribution chains. I don't know, whatever. But let's say you have the next great idea. Okay, you've got these players that already exist. You're trying to be up and coming. You have your website. You're building it.
Michael, I don't
They start
understand
launching
what you're talking about.
they
What?
start launching DDoS attacks against you, and they can basically take you off your network. So it's censorship because they have more brute force to throw traffic at you, and then the ISP is going to cut you off. It's not going to be them cutting you off. It's not going to be, So it's really interesting. It's from the censorship perspective. If you consider it like that, if you consider who has the ability to stage these attacks and produce that much bandwidth to take it down, somebody serious, and that means that they might have motives other than just, oh, I'm a hacker, want to do a DDoS attack against a random website because I'm pissed at the guy. So, those are all things you need to consider.
Yes, I did like that Reddit took down North Korea's internet. That was funny. And it was essentially a DDoS attack, but it was actually a legitimate, like, denial of service because so many people wanted to see what the web pages in North Korea looked like because they had access to them for that moment. So, but anyway, yeah, so terrible, sad news, and I guess whatever censorship stuff Michael was talking about might relate, but I didn't think that was relatable. But zombie worm, I have some Pi news. You can turn a Pi 0 into a miniature computer dongle. I thought that was pretty cool. If you want to check that out. I still have not looked at getting a Pi 0, but I found something else that Michael might want to spend all of his money on.
I don't know about that, but we do want to
I was
throw
about to.
we do want to throw in that website I had mentioned to you too, just briefly.
Yeah, but not yet.
Okay.
This I thought was super interesting. It's and I'll give you both
Yeah, I
the link
got the
to
story. I read
the
the story.
solid run and to the actual article for the
We'll
solid
listen
run,
to Brantley's take on it, and then I'll give you mine.
and then the full solid run. Um, Essentially, this is a full microcomputer, so it's a full-on system. Um,
Well,
you
I
can run
mean, it's an SBC. It's an SBC. I mean,
so
it's
you can run x86 and
there
x64
is
stuff
that.
on it.
If
So
you're interested
you
in
get a
x86
What?
full
compatibility,
computer.
I would
You get to
argue that ARMs are full computers
Say
too,
what,
but
Bradley?
You get to run a full-blown computer on something the size of Pi. It's actually it's
full of
basically
means
like what
x86.
the small system that Michael and I have for our internet gateways,
Yeah,
but it's actually even smaller and even faster.
it's very powerful. I'll give you that.
It does have 2 network cards built into it, which
Very
I
nice
really
for
like
the
that.
gateway network
Load
device.
balancing.
Yeah, I don't know if
What
it's.
OS
It
is?
can do all that.
You
Well,
can
that's the
put
thing. You can put
whatever
whatever
OS.
OS.
That's the point. It's a full x86 processor, so you can put
Really?
whatever you want on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can run
What's
Windows. You can run Windows 10 on it. You can
Michael,
run.
stop.
You
Go
know.
ahead, Nick.
could run like it's powerful?
Yeah.
It's a quad core 2.5 gigahertz if you want to get
Compared
the higher
to
price.
well,
Makes
compared
sense.
to
That the solid run thing.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to compare to an i7 or an i5. But
It's not it's basically it's kind of the power consumption of an Atom, but a step below an i3 in processing power.
Ooh.
But it's
it's
still a
more than
quad core 2.5 gigahertz with you can get up to 8 gigs of RAM, and that's what really held me back because if I want to get a system like that that has like 64 gigs of RAM.
okay. Well, but again, who they're going up against is the other single board computers. There's not a Pi with 8 gigs of RAM out on it. Okay, and so that's what they're going up against with that. There's also not a Pi with USB 3 typically out there. There's a few devices that do offer USB 3 functionality, but they're not terribly commonplace. And definitely not terribly commonplace to offer dual gigabit Ethernet ports in it, and the type of video processing power that it has, as well as the CPU speed that it has. It's about 4 times faster than a Pi 3, I believe. Okay, but or not 4 times faster than a Pi 3. Excuse me. It's 4 times the cost of a Pi 3. So just remember that you can get 4 Pi 3s for the cost of something like this. I think it has its usage. But cooling's a bigger concern on it. You definitely got to go with a bigger heatsink, I believe, on the device. It's going to use more power.
It's not that big a concern.
It's gonna use more power for the low power requirements, battery usage. If you have a portable Pi, for instance, it's gonna.
The case that it has
Case is
can
pretty
be
nice, by the way, but
well, the case
it's
can be a
okay.
heat sink, or you can get just a standalone heat sink, which is,
Yeah, I saw
I mean,
that.
it's
I
bigger
saw
than
that.
what you put on a Pi, but it's
I saw
still
that. Well, anyway, I maxed it out, and I was getting close to like a $500 price. Okay, I know it
you.
starts out at much less.
No, it's $300 if you want to get the max of everything.
Not the way I configured it on the site, but anyway, I'll look into
You
that again. But
figure something correctly, because you might not have been looking at the solid PC Q4, because at full blast with 8 gigs of RAM, the top processor, which supports the 2.5 gigahertz. I think the other one only supports 1.5. Then the case and the power adapter, that's $300 with shipping. So I don't know what
okay.
you were looking at to get 500. Maybe you added 2 of the processor boards.
That might be possible because I was looking at a couple. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But still, $300. It's considering you could potentially get a Pi for $40. You're talking about on the low end, on the absolute base end, going in being
Well,
4 Pis
that's what
worth of
I was
investment.
about to get one, but that's what held me back is because of the fact that I don't have a need for it. And my biggest thing is if it had like 64 gigs of RAM, that would be so awesome, because then I could run a virtual system and be able to take that with me anywhere. So like having a virtual network set up on just one little system that you just plug in anywhere and you can start using it. That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah. I think it does do real well for the usage with oh, and that brings up the other point of these devices, you know, getting back to being routers or gateway devices on your network. Brantley and I ran across one that I hadn't heard of before, and I was just curious if any of you guys out there had heard of it. And I think I have a reason, or I know why I haven't heard of it, but this is an open source
You're not awaiting that, Nick.
router.
Michael's awaiting you.
Just,
Don't blame that one on
start
Michael.
focusing. I'm awaiting Michael to start. Okay, so I got to do something so that he can do something, then so that I can do something, so that
Yeah.
gosh, it's getting complicated.
It starts though with what? You have to do something. So.
But every time I do that, then it is in his court or somewhere else, and then it's like a while, and then it's stop it now. Let's not place blame.
It is. And you started the blame place. Anyway, let's move on. We missed a lot of Phoenix's links here. Let's see if there was anything else that was really big here.
Really, it is coming great. I can't wait, because once the, I feel like I am so ever close to just being ready to unleash the hounds of UI development anyway. But
yeah, and that I'm excited for where you're at, and I'm very excited for the filter module to be based on the work you've done so far.
yeah. Really, it's actually kind of awesome, because the filter module's been like, oh, here's the old code for the crypto prevent filter module, and I'm like, oh, I just need like 3 or 4, you know, procedures, and I'll just translate these. You know, just mostly testing that right now. But
Michael, the reason the first thing you pointed out to me on that thing that you're talking about was that it lacks a GUI
dang straight
interface, and that's why it probably wouldn't be suitable for a lot of customers, is because usually that's
Well, I know, but I would figure that
business-level
somebody
side
like
is going to be command line.
I know, but I figured that one of these guys would be the one managing it. They would be putting it in place for them, and then they would do it. And so, you know, assuming they could get it up and running and it worked well and stable, you know, might be a good option.
Yeah. But yeah, it does make things significantly more harder to manage and work with. And
yeah, it lacks remote
Undertaker,
management.
I believe you would be able to manage it remotely. It's just you have to be able to configure it to get to that point. So.
Like SS.
And yeah, it's like that's where I was going with it. What Beavis says, it's like Cisco stuff. I mean, Cisco, although some of their devices do have web interfaces, you can't do as much as you can do from the command line. Even Nick's stuff that he's using, the Ubiquity stuff, the command line is a far more versatile and powerful feature.
yeah, the command line is very robust. It, like with the command line and the Ubiquity stuff, you have like everything you have about with the Cisco stuff, but you don't have it with the GUI so much.
Yeah, and that's
Like
what a lot of your business level routers and things are. So,
which is really nice, because Ubiquity gear is so cheap for those features compared to the
Cisco and bigger.
yeah. That's why I have it in my home. I mean, I could not afford that otherwise. It's so cheap compared to that stuff. You know, and really you'll spend you'll spend a little more than you will on top end home gear, and actually you can get away with less depending on what you need. I spent a little more than I did on my last Netgear that Michael convinced me to buy on top of the other Netgear that I hated.
So,
You should be ashamed.
speaking of routers, apparently Google is going to be announcing or releasing some new products on October 4th. What I found interesting was they're apparently going to release a new Wi-Fi router that they're touting as having smart features. It's not going to be on hub, from what I'm gathering from their information, but it is going to be a wireless router. And one of the biggest things about it is the fact that it's going to be mesh networkable. So you can buy multiple of these and have them all working off the same wireless and internet and stuff. So
See, I thought they already had that. There was already a product like that.
there are other routers that do that, but
No, from Google.
No, Google's don't. No, their on hubs don't do that.
Oh.
On hubs and it's actually really crappy. It's 2 network ports. You get a WAN port and a local port, and that's it. And then
Yeah, but I thought you could like buy like 5 or 10 of them and just
nope,
you just plug them into the power, and they're just like, oh hey, I see your other guys that you must have purchased. Let me.
As far as I'm aware,
provide access to everyone.
It doesn't. But there are other router brands that are doing that, and we've talked about them on the show. That might be.
I think that's just horrible, just horrid.
Yeah. I like the fact that they are going towards mesh networking. I prefer that.
Just to backtrack though, Ubiquity also has MFI power gear, and it's difficult to find on their website. Are you going somewhere, Brantley? You want to stop me there?
No, I was just going to tell Cherie later, and congratulations for your son getting married.
Oh, wow.
Right now, so.
Cool. I'm saying nice. Congratulations.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you on that.
No.
Tomorrow's a good day.
Yeah, it's Johnny's birthday tomorrow, too, so.
Oh, neat. You didn't... calendar.
Eric's not the one getting married.
Cute, Eric. Yeah, we assumed, I guess, but.
Now, I just wanted to throw out there that the MFI on Ubiquity, before y'all move on, was the thing about Ubiquity is even using the GUI, and like you have to have the controllers running for certain things to work. Even for the wireless network, I don't know the specifics on all of that because I configured it auto start with Windows manually because it don't just give you the option. But I also have the MFI controller, and they are. You're welcome, Eric. Is that you? You're the son? Oh no, it's not me. It's your older brother. Well, awesome. Well, congratulations. Definitely, that was the best day of my life. The last one anyway, not the first one. But
you enjoyed the first one at the time.
I did at the time, but there was lots of booze, and our parents paid the catering.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah, I needed it. It was okay because I didn't get any food. That was the weird thing. Stop. Let's not go back. Let's just not go back there.
Beavis, don't feel bad because nobody really got an invite.
No one was invited to the last one, the last and final one. No one was invited to that. We went. Actually, we decided we were getting married on Friday. We got married on, or no, we had decided we were getting married on Saturday night. We got married on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So in the jail, in fact, the justice of the peace, the magistrate.
Beavis, I'm gonna have to go back, and Nick will probably appreciate it too. But I had I have some video footage of that weekend.
You're crapping the wedding, the first wedding.
Yeah, I think it was mainly the after party stuff. I do.
Yeah,
I believe I might have had some of the wedding stuff too, but I know I got the after party stuff. I'll have to look for it.
Oh crud! Can I finish about M5? Would quit talking about
go for it. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that the controller software for that is absolute butt nugget. You have to run Java 7. It doesn't run with Java 8. And the scheduling is horrid and so unintuitive. But once you figure it out, it is awesome that as long as the controller software is running, I guess just I was going to point out that it cuts off the kids' power, because it's a power strip with wireless, and it cuts off the kids, it cuts off all the TVs and everything. So not just the internet, but the TV, the game console, everything gets shut down at a certain time every night. Okay, let's talk about my weddings.
No, we're done. I did want to point out something else interesting that Google's going to be releasing. Their smart speaker, Google Home, is apparently coming out as well. The supposed fight against Amazon Echo. They're going to be releasing at $129, where Echo is currently priced at $179. So see how that goes. And they're also going to come out with a Chromecast Ultra, which is capable of 4K stuff there. So no, Zombie Worm, I didn't get the Chippendales for them.
No, we did not. We did not. In fact, my best man didn't even talk me out of it, punk.
So, $30 Pi 3, and $5 coupon.
You did what, Phoenix?
Yeah, Phoenix installed Cortana.
I'm sorry, Michael. You installed Cortana on your Android. Why?
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
Is this a bad dream?
Well, I thought this was cool. They've figured out how to have a drone fly without a battery using wireless power. Obviously, it's not going to get very far away from that induction coil there, but still pretty cool. Michael, why is that a story?
I actually don't understand.
It's a good price on a Pi 3, and we talked about the single board computers earlier.
I actually don't understand that, Beavis. I guess that's only on iOS, or I don't know. I don't understand Apple. I don't really care. Futures Tech, Eric gets it, but I don't. Animal vegetable.
I don't have a Pi 3, so I might buy one.
Oh, Brantley, did you talk the other day? You said that the Chrome, or the Android apps were available on Chrome OS now.
Yeah, they are.
That's it. No link. Nothing. Did you talk?
We talked about it on the show. I think it was yesterday, actually.
Must not have been paying attention.
I might have a link for it.
It was probably like working or something.
Yeah, here's a link for it.
Thank you. I do need that. You mentioned, you were like, I don't think you care anymore, and for a while I wasn't, because I didn't think it was going to happen. But I honestly forgot what I needed from the Android store, Chrome OS so badly.
I want to say it was
probably spend more time downstairs now.
I want to say it was something remote desktop style.
Well, that was part of it, but that was not all of it. All I know is
the bigger thing too is that you can have Ring Central running on it now, and
that was a good part of it. That was a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Yay! Now I can spend more time downstairs.
Michael, it's only a short drive to Atlanta.
Where the kegerator.
I don't know if it's worth it. It'll take me more than $15 in gas or whatever.
And you'd get to drive through Charlotte. So, Glenn, since you're here, apparently Aboriginal Australians are humanity's oldest civilization. So Australia's got that going for them now. Glenn is Undertaker, or what's his other name that he goes by? He goes by like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, he has a couple. We recognize them all. We just have to see them first. Change your name a few times, Glenn. We'll know it.
I thought this was pretty cool too. There was a stuntman last weekend that completed Evel Knievel's jump over Snake River Canyon, which Evel Knievel wasn't even able to complete. So, but it was one of his most famous attempted stunts, and this guy is the first guy to have done it. So, I thought that was cool. The Johnny Knoxville movie of Evel Knievel wasn't that bad actually either. So, if y'all are interested in that.
Why am I typing all of this?
I don't know.
It used to be that you could, with the Kekeret, it used to be that you could get the tap gear and convert like an old used refrigerator. And that's something that another friend of mine and I had talked about many a time years ago, because you can grab an old used refrigerator for a few bucks at a yard sale or something like that. But yeah, apparently they got with people who make mini fridges, and they're like, oh, we can drill a little hole, and the only thing is finding the CO2 tanks for it. Like around here, the Army Navy store carries them, and there is a specialty brew, like a wine company, brew company thing, specialty place that has them, you know, and they sell a few things. They don't even sell yeast for making your own beer. They don't even sell any of that. What they do actually, they make their money.
Did you
But
guys?
it is difficult to get them. I'm sorry, but the CO2 tanks are your only real obstacle. But you know, if you live in a fairly urban area, you'll have access to them. Certainly. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
So they're so people seem to dislike, I guess I'll say, Oculus Rift's their founders' politics, I guess. He's anti-Clinton, and and it looks like they're getting backlash as a result of that. Brantley, I know you have talked about some VR things.
Well, it's not just that he's against Clinton. He's been like taking all the money he's made from Oculus and giving it to Trump.
Yeah, well, you know, and but I mean, I guess he's free to do what he wants to. But
Well,
there's a couple of developers
if it's his money, I mean, he's not spending company funds on supporting Trump, right?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
I mean,
Zombie Worm, you're in the UK, right? Did you know that BT Sky UK broadband customers were also affected by that Yahoo hack?
Shit, Lord.
I didn't know exact sides of it, but isn't BT broadband the ones that were having issues with the DNS stuff as well?
BT Internet, I guess. Are they?
Yeah,
I guess they are BT broadband. Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah. So if you use a BT or Sky email account powered by Yahoo, you were possibly affected by that major data breach that had 500 million accounts compromised.
Beavis is saying the Oculus guy calls his team that are doing the shit posting.
yeah,
Shit
yeah. It's
that
I
sounds
heard that
right
in the
out of
story.
Trailer Park Boys, by the way.
They basically, yeah, they're
Leahy statement.
the whole organization that the anti-Clinton organization that this guy is a part of. They basically their mission statement is pretty much that they shitpost. But, so yeah.
Okay.
Shit. Well, I guess is that something to be proud? Is that something he promotes, or I guess I'm like the statement that Beavis made me think differently.
An internet trolling super PAC.
But does he promote them, or is he behind them? Does he support them? Obviously, I guess if he's spending his money. I guess that was where I was getting confused.
Yeah. I didn't want to bring it up because it was a political base.
Well, yeah, politics are not fun.
Yeah, Michael started it. So, but speaking of
Thanks,
Oculus, they are also the ones that make the actually awesome Gear VR for Samsung devices. and looks like Xbox controller support is coming to it soon. Gosh, I cannot believe how compatible the Xbox controller is with almost everything. It's like, wow, they probably make more money off their controllers than their consoles, I would imagine.
Well, they have that extreme controller thing that's like $100 or $200 more than the regular controller that they really pimp, that has the ergo grippy stuff on it or something. I don't know. It's like intimidating looking to me.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I can't afford it. I don't know really what it's like to use, but why? Really? A controller? My Super Nintendo costs $100. I understand the Xbox does more, but the controller? Come on. It's fucking wireless. That's all it's good for. I'm sorry. It's got too many damn buttons anyway. We've been over that before.
Easy, slow it down. Slow it down.
Sorry, but you can't use that many buttons and play a game. Just give us a keyboard.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Is
$20 Logitech. Come on.
it's ridiculous using a controller anyway.
I
So SpaceX figured out why their rocket exploded.
Oh yeah, was it their
Get off my
helium?
lawn,
Was it their
Beaver.
helium? I believe a leak in their helium system cooling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually fuel. I don't know. I didn't realize helium was explosive like that, but I guess under the types of pressures and things that they have it at, maybe I don't know.
Liquid helium, I believe, is explosive. Or flammable, not explosive.
Flammable in some way. Yeah.
So I don't know what this Bumble service is, but I thought the way that they're doing verifications was interesting. So essentially, they're showing you a picture of a gesture to take, and you have to make that gesture, and that'll be how to verify you are your profile, and you're not just using fake pics and stuff, which I know there's a huge problem with that on Tinder. Like anybody, like there's actually a Ricky from Trailer Park Boys Tinder profile out there, and like it sounds just like you would expect Ricky to sound like on a Tinder profile. So I thought that was an interesting way to do verification, and there was another company as well that started doing that same. I think it was Uber actually has started doing something similar where you get to see a picture of your driver so that you can verify that that is your driver that's picking you up, not just somebody that has a similar car.
I'm just saying about this, at least logging into a social picture share. What happened to multi-factor authentication? Really?
It's not logging in. It's that you can verify you are you, and you're not using other.
But how do they know you're you in the first place?
Because all right, so you put up pictures of your. Just take this. You're on a dating profile, right? You want to make sure that that dating profile, the pictures that are being shown on there, are the person that made that profile. Because I could go up there and put like super hot supermodels as my pictures on a dating profile, and you would never.
Okay, got it. I was.
Until
no, you can impersonate somebody.
Ballpark is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Now you would never know that I wasn't a super hot like.
No, why don't they just pay the DMV?
I don't know. DMV.
Remember what we talked about the other day from that person that worked at the transportation thing in that state?
Yeah.
Being vague about.
I think that's part of it, is that they try to be vague about that and don't want to come out saying you can sell.
Because they really wouldn't have to do any of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, requiring someone send in their license would be effectively similar, but
I don't know if they.
Either way,
You could still do the selfie thing, but they wouldn't need the.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like the selfie way that they're verifying pictures are you is a good route. So
it's interesting.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see if other services take on that same effect. So. All right, so we have reached our hour time limit and a little bit past. Do we have anything else we wanted to shout out real quick, or?
Yeah, I'm a bit exhausted.
I thought I had something, but luckily I don't recall at the moment. So.
Okay. Well, we have had quite a bunch of talk and chatter and gone over a bunch of good stuff today. So thank you everyone for joining us and providing that. And we much appreciate it. We will be back
Interesting.
on
Gave us
Monday.
something.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday at 8 a.m. And again, we are here to provide mainly support and answer any questions about our products and services, but we do so much love having all this chatter and talk about various items and topics that come up on a day-to-day basis. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you on Monday.
Thank you, Internets.
Yep.
Monday, 8 a.m.
Internets.
FlashTechShow.com.
See you Monday.
Okie dokie. I'll close it down now. Let's see. Twitch is stopping twitching, and